Welcome to Carrying the Conversation, a reproductive options podcast led by real surrogacy experience. What I forget to do every time, so I won't forget this time, is welcome to Carrying the Conversation. This is a reproductive options podcast led by real surrogacy experience. And we have Mallory with us. So, Mallory, if you'd like to say hello and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yes, I'm Mallory. I'm a surrogate from Atlanta, former surrogate, not currently in any journey right now. Met Kayla back in 2023 when I started this journey, and we've just kind of, carried on a relationship in and out of surrogacy, personal life, and everything like that. So it's been really exciting to see reproductive options grow into this. It's amazing. And thank you for having me today.
Yeah. And I think, this series that we're working on right now before the match is really just about providing as much information as possible. And I think a lot of surrogates go into this thinking everything's going to be smooth sailing. And honestly,
Yeah.
like even in most intake processes, we just kind of talk about the steps. And I don't think that there's enough attention that's actually drawn to, what really can go wrong. And that even though your heart's in the right place and you go into this to become a surrogate, it doesn't exactly mean that you're going to deliver on the other side. And
hmm
this, I'll try not to get emotional with you, Mallory, because
Yeah.
so Mallory has just like on a kind of like a personal note in like the growth with reproductive options is that like I feel like Mallory is one of the people that have just like been by my side. So I've never met Mallory in person. But
Yeah.
when you came in to work with us, like just like the connection that we built and like as many times as we've had to kind of go back and forth with matching in your journey, it was the worst thing in the world for me to be like, okay, Mallory, surrogacy is over. Like I cried
Yeah.
before we had
I
that
know.
conversation.
I
I'm like,
know.
I don't know how I'm going to tell you because like this is a hard one. And I feel like you've just really been a cheerleader for reproductive options and for me. And I don't know. It's tough.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this topic in our series before the match, which is really, kind of like the real time commitment that can go into surrogacy and still not ending up delivering on the other side. As soon as I wrote this episode out, I'm like, this one's Mallory's. Like that you have invested so much time into this process and so much good and so much bad and just a whirlwind of things, and you just kept going. So if we can just kind of start with your first match and your transfers and what took place and the traumatic situation, I think that happened over a summer, if I remember correctly, and kind of like all of the procedures and everything like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, gosh, I don't know. There's been so much has happened, and it's just, like you said, like you sometimes go into this and your heart's in it, but you just don't get the full delivery of what you wanted out of it. So yeah, I guess to start from the beginning, matched in October with a couple, and I guess it was October or so because I went up to DC. Can I say
sure.
DC?
Yeah.
Was it
October
October of 2025 or what year?
No, oh, sorry,
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
2023.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
2020,
Just to get the
2023.
2023.
timeline, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So started this journey officially August is when I did the application for reproductive options, then matched. I guess it was October. I had to go up there for my medical screening. Everything was fine, looked great, all the things, started meds, and then had my first transfer in February because I remember it was freezing in DC, and had a good relationship with the couple. Everything was great. Ryan, my husband, who's been supportive through it all, came with me. And I guess it was, you get home, start taking tests. And I remember sending Kayla a picture. I was like, do you see that? But it was like super, super
Sure.
early. And I think it was just an error on the test at that point. I kept testing. It's negative after negative after negative. So when I came into beta, I was like, this is gonna be negative. Like I know it is. I had stopped testing like a few days before. And this particular clinic, they did their first draw, like, way further than any other clinic. It was, like, almost 12 days
Yeah.
after, which was,
Oh, wow.
to
Way late.
me, was long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I come home, I'm working, and my local monitoring clinic, I could see the results first before they changed
Okay.
things up. And it was, like, 29. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I, like, rushed to the bathroom, pee on a stick, and I'm like, "That's a line. There is a line there." So we had, like, this sense of, like, "Yay, like, this is positive, but it's low. Let's see what happens." Well, then the next beta, it was, like, 100 and something. Oh, no, it was 90.
Yeah.
So it had gone up, but it still was low. Needless to say, it started to go up, but just didn't really do what it was supposed to do. And gosh, it all seems like a blur. I just remember they're like, let's do some more. And then we did, and it would like slowly creep up, but it wasn't dropping yet, but just not doubling. So for like days and days, like I kept getting my blood drawn, and eventually I think I was having some pain. So I went to the ER. They couldn't see anything like on the ultrasound. HCG was still like 800. And eventually the doctor was just like, this isn't going to be viable. So we stopped all the meds. Well, then the HCG still kept going up, and I'm like, what is happening? Like it was
Oh my
like a mind
God.
game to me, you know? It was like, okay, well, you said it's not viable. My HCG is still rising even though I stopped. So eventually I saw an OB here, and he was like, "Well, I don't see anything on an ultrasound. Your HCG, obviously it's not, consistent with a viable pregnancy. We can either do an endometrial biopsy to just like clean everything out, or we can do a DNC." Because he was trying to avoid methotrexate because we were wanting to transfer again, and that would push us back 3 months. So I was like, okay. So we ended up doing a DNC. After the DNC, my HCG still rose, and there was no viable
There's nothing
tissue,
there.
Oh my
and
God.
there was nothing there.
Yeah.
So they went
What?
in, cleaned everything out, but there was nothing there. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So then it's like, it's a pregnancy of unknown location. So I still had to get the methotrexate, and I'm like, okay. And so that pushed us back 3 months. Um, which that's one thing in my next journey. I added, if I had to get methotrexate again, that I would get some kind of fee for that, because I mean it's a chemo drug, and it's pretty. I didn't have that bad of a reaction to it, but like some people get really sick and like lots of cramping and stuff. So that was one thing that I made sure I had in case I had to get that again. Um, I didn't have to, but yeah, so had to get that. That was in March. Yeah, so transfer was in February. March 19th was the DNC. And then finally in, I guess it was sometime in the summer, I had to go back up to DC for another med clearance just to make sure that everything looked good. They did another saline ultrasound. Everything was clear. So we did another transfer in August, I believe. Yeah, August. And that was just a fail. So we were like, okay. After that, the couple had, I think they only had 2 embryos left. So their doctor recommended, I could do a biopsy, a ERA with a biopsy. I'm like, okay, that sounds fine with me. I'm here for you. We'll do that if that's what you want to do. Went up, had that done, and then that was October of 2024, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, the following October. I come home, and we were going to transfer again in November after we had the results. Something came up with the family. They had some personal things going on, wanted to push the transfer forward a little bit. And at that point, I was just like, I think it's time for us to just break the match, go our separate ways. You guys have your thing going on. We're just not aligning anymore. And so we broke the match in October after that biopsy, which we did get the results back, and it was just showing that my body was a little, the receptivity with the progesterone was a little off. So it may not have worked if we tried again without altering medications. So that was where that journey ended in November, I guess.
Yeah, and that information, the ERA, is super great. I actually wish clinics and that it became standard to do ahead of time, because it actually
Mhm.
it's a really cool graph. And it actually shows like where your ideal time frame is for transfer based on medications, and like how to
Yeah.
shift things. It's
Oh, that's really
really
cool.
yeah, it's really insightful, and it's done really well. So, yeah, and then just to kind of tag on that, Mallory, like you're welcome to share like what took place with the parents if you're wanting to. It's completely up to you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
you can.
Yeah, so I guess it was about the time that I was having my ectopic or pregnancy of unknown location, whatever was going on. Um, we found out that the intended mother was pregnant herself. And so, that's awesome considering we weren't sure she was going to be able to carry based off of her history. So that was going along as they were finding out they were pregnant. After my biopsy came back, it was about the time that she was going to be delivering. So I think just with the pressure of a newborn, she was going to have a C-section. They knew that already. And then the potential of me doing another transfer with the potential of it not working. I think it was just a lot of like, do we really want all this at one time? But it was one of those things where we kept the match going under the impression that their journey, their pregnancy wasn't going to intertwine or like mess up with my journey, I guess, is the best way to put that. And when it came down to it, that wasn't what was going to happen. It was going, I got pushed to the wayside, which is, it was not fine. I get they had their own stuff going on. But at that point, it was already like 2 years into the journey with them, or not two, like a year and a half with them. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this just isn't, maybe we should just go our separate way. And not to mention, they had two surrogates or a surrogate before me with 2 fails. So I just, knowing that I wanted to like continue this journey, I didn't want to have another fail or whatever under my belt just because I wanted to be able to look suitable to move forward. So. And that's ultimately what happened.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot that happened at once.
I know, and it stinks because I was really wanting to keep up with her because I knew she was pregnant. I would have loved to like seen what happened with that.
On top of everything,
Yeah.
it was, mountain after mountain after mountain. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So then I was like, well, let's do it again.
Right?
let's try to do it again.
And I was surprised, honestly. I was like, nope, she's gonna be done. She's gonna have to be done. Like, there's no way she's gonna be okay with going again.
I know, and I talked to Ryan. I was like, well, do we do this again? Because obviously, like he's just as a part of as I am. We had a few match calls, and those didn't work out afterwards. And then Kayla was like, I have this match for you, and like. This match he's ideal, whatever. We met, we matched, and so journey number 2 started. And this one was interesting too.
Yeah.
This one was interesting too. Different reasons, but this one was interesting too. So we matched after kind of jumping through hoops with other clinics and just based off of some of the history that I had, they just wanted to be, I guess, extra hard. The first clinic was pretty easy to get by, so I think that's why we were having a challenge with the second startup. But anyways, we got matched, and
super cool intended father. So at the time, right? Super cool intended father.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool story, cool backstory. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I guess, and I remember when you sent me his profile, and I immediately went to Ryan. I was like, look at him. He has tattoos. He has a ponytail. Awesome. He looks cool. I'm like, Ryan. Yeah,
different,
like this is
not
like
kind of not your status quo, right? Like not your normal.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like this will be good. So his clinic was in Sacramento, California. I had never been past Mississippi, so I'm like, this is cool. I'm gonna get to go over there. Did medical screening there. When I went with my mom. She came to this one with me, and I'll never forget. So the nurse practitioner is the one who did mine. And so she's like looking, doing my ultrasound, and she's like, oh, I think you have adhesions. And I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, hang on, really?
Like, no,
I was like, because
they just did your.
I know, yeah, because I had just months before had another saline ultrasound after my D&C to make sure I didn't have anything going on. And she's like, yeah, I think that you do. And I'm like, okay. She's like, let me get a second opinion. And I think it was just like extra tissue from my cycle that hadn't gone out. I don't know. It was fine. Whew. Because I did not want to have another procedure. I was afraid. She's like, we can do one of those hysteroscopies and da-da-da. I'm like,
no, nothing else.
Your poor uterus at this point.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, goodness gracious, come on. And got clean, got dressed, walked out the door, and then she calls me. She goes, "I forgot to do your assessment." And I'm like, "Oh, gosh." I had to go back in, undress. She does my pelvic exam, and I'm like, "Why is this
Right.
so crazy for me? Like, what is this is just how my story would go, right?" So, anyways, got the clearance. All that was great. I feel like that was in August too, right around school. Yeah. So we did a transfer the first time early 2025, and it was, gosh, my mind's running together now. Did we do 2 transfers with him? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, we did, and it was in August, and this is another crazy story. So I'm sitting there, I went by myself this time, and it's just me listening to Taylor Swift,
That's
and
right. That's right.
the doctor comes in. So this clinic was so much different. They had speakers in the room, were playing music, and it's like some classical jazz. So I turned it off. So I started listening to some Taylor Swift, and the doctor comes in and he's like, "Okay, are you ready?" And I'm like, leaning back, "Yeah, sure, let's go." And I'm like, "Do you care if I play Taylor Swift?" He's like, "I don't care. My wife is a Swiftie." Da 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 da. And I'm like, "Okay." So he's like doing the transfer, and we're listening to, I can't remember which song it was, but that was funny to me.
That's girlhood right there.
And
That's
the
peak girlhood.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. He's like, "I don't really understand her, but like my wife likes her." So I'm like, "Okay, well, to each their own." Um, and the ultrasound girl who was in there with us was like, "It is so quiet in here." She goes, "Next door, there's another surrogate having a transfer." And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." Well, kind of find out she ended up getting added to my transfer group, and we were chatting. I just thought it was a small world that, there was two surrogates there at the same time. But ultimately, that one just wasn't successful at all, which was a bummer, because everything, looked great. Everything was how it's supposed to be, which is, how it can go sometimes.
Yeah.
But so that was disappointing. So, had to wait all the process over again, had a cycle. And this clinic did Lupron, so that kind of like spaced it out even longer with having the Lupron injections that I took for about 2-ish weeks, I guess, before the med started. They didn't change anything with my med cycle. We did everything the same. Went out again in, I guess, the beginning of October. And I guess maybe day 5, I see like a little line. I'm like, I think that's a
Yeah.
line, and then I'm like, "I don't know though," like, so I sent it to people and they're like, "I kinda see it," like, "I don't know." And then there was one day, like, I got a line, and I sent it to Kayla.
Yeah.
She made a little post about it, and then that must have just been when it peaked and then it
Oh,
didn't, because we went to do the labs and it was, well, so this clinic, first of all, when they do their HCG, they draw your first lab, and you don't know what your result is until you get your second lab. And
Mm.
so we had to wait, extra long
Yeah.
to figure out what the days were, and
Hard.
that drove me crazy.
Yeah.
The nurse calls me and she is like, "Hey, so unfortunately, like your beta was a 4. So, there was a pregnancy there because you said you had a positive test, but like technically, like it was a chemical pregnancy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of figured, like I could see the lines, kind of feeling this was gonna happen." And it was crazy because I was like, "So, did you tell the father? Did you tell the intended father?" And she's like, "Oh, you're a surrogate." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Like, she's like, "I haven't even called him yet." And I'm like, "Oh my god, okay. So you better call him and tell him, because like this isn't my baby. This isn't this. I'm just the
right.
carrier." So that was kind of like, ugh. She's like, "I wasn't supposed to call you first." I'm like, "Is it not on my chart that says like surrogate in big bold red letters?" I don't know. Um, so he got the news, was very, very sweet. And mind you, he was very sweet and very like supportive and just thankful the whole way through. Um, and everything, like more than I could ask for. And he got the news and was like, "We'll come up with a plan with the doctor and see what happens next." And I'm like, "Okay." But in my mind, in my head, I'm like, "You know what? If he decides to break the match, it is what it is. Like, I have plans with my family. Like, I'm starting school in the summer. We want to travel. If it doesn't work out, I did all I could do." And he sent me this text the Thursday night after it happened saying thank you again. And looking back now, that must have been like his breakup moment, I
Ah,
guess,
yeah.
because a few days later is when Kayla and Rochelle reached out to me and said he wants to break the match. He's moved his embryo somewhere else. And, so it was another ending that was kind of like disappointing in a way. I mean, I know he has his own grief and his own way to handle things. I guess I was just a little blindsided with the way I thought we were, cooler than that. But I don't have any hard feelings towards him. I mean, it's his future, his embryos, his, it's not cheap, it's his money, it's his time. And so after that I was like, and even before Kayla was like, this probably is over for you. In my head I knew it was too, because, you know, intended parents want what's, the best candidate, and I don't feel confident that I would be anymore. So that's, kind of how it ended, and it was disappointing. There was tears. I still think about it sometimes when I see surrogates and, like, even with like the new stuff you guys are coming out with, and it stinks, but I found my purpose in it. I don't think it was a waste of time. I learned a lot from it. So, yeah, it is what it is. I tried.
Yeah, I thought it was funny timing that you got that box today. I saw you open up.
I know, I know. I got it yesterday actually, and then I was like,
Mm.
let me open it today. So I made my little video, but I just, like, seriously, like, thank you so much for that,
Of course.
because, you know, to someone else, I could have just been like, okay, she's gone, whatever, bye. But like, that's one thing that reproductive options isn't you're just not a number. Like, you're a friend, you're a sister, you're a surrogate. Like, even if you never deliver, like, I still consider myself a surrogate. Like, I did the
Yeah.
transfers, I had
Yeah,
pregnancies, like,
absolutely.
there was pregnancies. Um, my heart was there. And so I just appreciate it for you guys, seriously.
It's hard. Like, even when we make posts, like, you're still in the back of my mind a lot of times. Like, it's tough. We spend a lot of time together.
I know, I know. That's why I told Rochelle, I was like, I feel like we're breaking up and I don't want to do that. We're not. We're still
We're still
together,
together.
but
Different
it's
capacity.
hard.
Yeah.
Mallory truly was here for like so many phases of the company growth.
Yeah.
Like,
I
honestly.
know.
Like, I was your case manager. Like, it
I
was
know.
just me. It was just me.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
I
my
I
know.
mean, so
God.
it
Yeah,
was
you
just
used to
me.
do it all.
I did. It was just
Yep.
me. And it's so funny because I'm like, I swear I'm never hiring anyone. Like, because I've done the agency ownership before, reproductive options with another agency, and like, all the hurdles that can come with employment and stuff like that. I'm like, it's always gonna be just me. And I'm like, well, maybe it won't be just me. And then it's just been gradually
Yeah.
growing. And we have such a great team now. But Mallory truly has seen, like, in the thick and the core of the changeover and growth of reproductive options. Like, she really saw a lot.
I
So
know. I can remember, like, when I applied to do it, like, the website looks so different now. And I remember I was still working night shifts, and I remember I did it like that night because I was talking to Lindsay. Do you remember
yeah,
her? That's how I figured out who you were, is she told me about you. And I remember talking with her, and she's like, "Yeah, there's, Kayla, and I'm pretty I she because she carried twins that were your eggs, right?"
yes.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, I know. So she's a neighbor, Gabby. She
Okay,
she lived in my
I swear,
neighborhood.
I
Yeah,
swear,
I'm looking at her dad's house right
I
now.
we'll
swear,
fill in
like
all the details. We'll fill in
all
all the
all
details for you,
I
Gabby.
feel
It's
like
That's a whole
everything is just
story.
like small world leading back to Kayla.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, my mind is
Yeah.
blown. Continue. Sorry.
And it was a single page website. So when I first started, this is almost year 6 for reproductive options, 16 years for me in the field. But when I started, the whole purpose was, I'm going back to just simplicity, right? Like, and it was just
Yep.
single page. It was just me. And my vision for reproductive options was always just me and just managing cases individually. And then obviously, like, things changed and grew, and I found a super awesome team. But um Gabby, this is a story. This is really a story.
I'm excited.
I'm gonna try to remember all the details.
And I don't even know if I know all the details.
I'm gonna watch the information that I share too, because the donor cycle that I did that Lindsay carried was a closed legal contract on
Okay.
their end. I've always kept them open. I don't care what happens. Like, parents can reach out, like, the kids can reach out when they're older. So I won't share their birthdays or their year, but they're older. They were one of my earlier donor cycles,
Okay.
and they're twins.
Wow.
And I happened to be doing interviews, and I'm trying to remember what it was even for. It would have been at the last agency that I was at, and I interviewed Lindsay. And I was asking her, I'm like, tell me about your surrogacy. And so she's sharing all this information. And I'm like, this timeline is odd. Like, these locations are odd. And so I start like doing some math and thinking things. And I'm like, did you carry for blah, blah, blah? And I've met the intended parents in person. I met them when I did my donor
Sure.
cycle in person, and we
Right.
had contact. But then the rules after that was just basically no contact.
Yeah.
And so we are I'm interviewing her for a job, and I shit you not, she carried the twins that I donated the eggs for. Yeah, weird. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, and they
Is
have
the
an
What is this
established
universe that it like just circled back? That's insane.
I know. I know.
My mind is
beyond
I feel
insane.
like you needed to like go buy a lotto ticket or something when that happened because what are the chances? Oh my
Craziest.
God.
So
Wow.
Lindsay and I we've always like kept in touch. Like, she's super sweet, and she sent fantastic
Mhm.
referrals. And so legally I have a closed relationship with the donor cycle. She has a pretty open relationship. Um I'll just say with the family, because it looks different. The family is
Yeah.
different now than what it was then, which is unfortunate, and it's really a super sad story. But um the in
Mm.
like she is privy to information that I'm not privy to. So
Mm.
one of those things. But I've always been like super transparent. I'm an open book for parents if they change their mind, or children when they get older. My kids know I was a donor and everything like that. So super wild and crazy small world. Lindsay carried the
Mhm.
twins.
That's wild. That's wild. My mind is blown right now.
Yeah. And that's how I found out about surrogacy. So my mom tried to carry for my aunt years and years ago. It never worked out. So I kind of knew about it then, but I guess I was too young. I just didn't really like get it. And so when I met Lindsay in the neighborhood, I think she was gonna try again, and then she ended up
Was.
having another one of her own. And so I was like, Ryan, I want to do that. And he's like, no. He's like, your hormones were crazy enough when you were pregnant with Tinsley. I'm not doing that again, and it's not being mine. I'm like, okay, okay, we'll see. I remember going somewhere, and I run into Lindsay, and she's like, did you talk to Ryan? I was like, I tried. I'm gonna try again though. And so I sat him down, kind of like explained it all, and he's like, okay. Okay. And honestly, when we both got into it, like obviously we had no idea this is where it was going to end up.
Sure. Yeah.
And, I'm very thankful to him that he was so supportive the whole way through. Like, I think by the end of it, he's like, okay, how long are you going to do this to yourself? And like, I want to travel. I want to do this. And like, because, with him being in the contract, he couldn't leave anywhere either. And so we did. As soon as the contract was broken, we booked a cruise and we went to
There you go.
Mexico.
As you should.
But yeah, it's just really weird that like that's how you guys met, and then I met Lindsay, and then like here we are.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is just one of the things, like I said, in these conversations that we have, obviously the chances of your story happening again are slim. And
Mhm.
that the list of things that can go wrong is there, but that's not common. Most journeys are smooth. I just think it's so important for surrogates to know that going into this doesn't mean you're going to deliver on the other side, and that it can be challenging, and you can have ups and downs and procedures. And I think what we really are looking for are people that are committed to the process of it. Like, you can't just be committed to, we have medical screening, we have legal contracts, we do transfer, we get pregnant, we deliver. It's just so much bigger than that, and potentially quite large. And it's not that you have to be committed forever, because obviously you spent more than 2 years doing that, but that you have to be committed to the process that leads up to that. And it can't just be a commitment for one transfer. It has to be multiple transfer commitments, and potentially a D&C, or potentially a miscarriage. And thankfully, I find that most surrogates, their heart is in this so much that they are committed to the result on the other end of this. And I just think that your story really sheds a ton of light. I mean, I swear, at the end of the day, I'm like, nothing else can go wrong here. Like, we have
Yeah.
done all of the things, and some scary things, and long procedures and wait times. And gosh, the ectopic pregnancy situation, that whole thing was super scary for me. Like, just,
I know. And that's why, like, I was, when I started off, obviously, like, I immediately go to social media. I'm like Googling people and whatever. And like that's when I was happy that I shared my journey, because obviously I started sharing it hoping it would be this awesome, I mean, it was awesome, but like this happy, your typical surrogacy journey. And it wasn't. And, there was a lot of girls on there who were like, I kind of went through that, or I'm so sorry you're going through that. Or they're finding it now and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going through that now. And I'm like, even though it wasn't what we wanted it to be, like someone still learned from me. And, you go back and say you want people who are committed to the process and everything. And like, you have to be, this isn't a one and done thing. These people are investing thousands of dollars into you. And you have to be committed to that. Like, I didn't think that that was going to happen to me when I started it, but it didn't scare me off. Like I knew that there were risks involved and I kept trying. There are worse things that could have happened to me. I still have all my organs. I'm still alive. But, when you're going through it, you're like, why me? Like, why, like, I want to do this so bad. And it doesn't matter how bad you want it. Like science is still science. And, but you have to have the heart and you have to be committed to do it.
I think
So,
it speaks absolute volumes for you as a person, your character, for how committed you were to it. I mean, I
yeah.
think the most beautiful thing you said this entire conversation was, I didn't deliver, but I'm still a surrogate. Like, I still went through the process. I still consider myself a surrogate. And it's like, that is the heart and soul of the entire process and the entire being and what you sign up for, and it's just such a beautiful thing to see in you, especially considering everything that you went through. It's just your soul is just beautiful. I love it so much.
thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
You're one of my favorite people, truly.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
We appreciate you sharing your story, and I know it's difficult. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I knew this was going to be a hard podcast for me. I knew this was going to be a challenging one. So,
And you're so brave.
but
Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you documented the process even as it was all happening in real time and other people could see and relate to you and
yeah,
feel like they're less alone in that. And I just, well, I get chills. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. And if you're open to it, we'd love to link your social with your journey to the podcast if you're
Sure.
okay with that. And then that way, it's good resources and um, I think it's just good information. Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time, but we do want people to come into the process committed to the process and not just the smooth journey and the end result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me. I don't really post much anymore until today with my box, but
Yeah.
um yeah, that's perfectly fine if you want to share. I'm happy to be there for somebody
Yeah.
that needs it.